problem with doing 4, but I am going to look at the questions that he did. And I'm now at 8 at 5. And 6, I am at question 4, I think.
Zoom recording, share screen. Here's the exam. Oh, there we got 5 people. Good. Okay. This is the exam. It's not a very flattering light here. Which question did we do last time? Well, let's go back over here. Here. Okay, so we're reviewing this exam for your benefit. Okay, I still have a feeling this exam is a little bit easier than the one you're going to get, because I have a feeling there are going to be more numerical questions, but let's see.
Wait, why is it going to be a harder test this year?
I just said, because I think you're going to get more numerical questions. At least, I don't know. I have no idea, actually. The ones that I wrote were all numerical.
Meaning like calculations and stuff?
Yeah, like what is the hit rate? Here it just says the hit rate. In other words, I'm just seeing these first questions are all very, abstract, which is good, actually. That's it's a good way of writing. It's a good style, because you can get a few questions you can do quickly. You don't have them all be mathematical, because mathematical ones, even if they're easy, they take longer. Okay. Netuna marechet zikaron 3. I don't think we did this one. Given a marechet zikaron, shemurkav zikaron matmon. All right, fine. It's got cache and regular memory. Netun shemarechet ovedet b'shita direct. It works in the direct system. Ma'azman gisha. What is the access time? Shelokech lema'abed lahavi netun boded mizikaron matmon. What is the access time to bring something from the matmon, from the cache?
Wouldn't it be the hit time plus miss penalty? Or
no. Marechet zikaron shemurkav mizikaron netun shehamarechet ovedet b'shita direct. Ma'azman gisha שלוקח למעבד להביא נתון בודד מזיכרון. How much time does it take the CPU to bring one data from the cache? In other words, I would say the answer is hit time. But why wouldn't it be hit time?
Because don't we have to have the miss penalty for the times that it tries to find it? But like, what if
it's not taking the average? It's just taking what that time it takes whenever it does it.
Right, whenever it does it, the words just mean when it gets something from the cache, how long does it take?
Or you're saying it can't not be in the cache, so there's no miss penalty.
So look what he says. The answer. Wait, could it be the miss penalty? Is it the miss? You're saying we don't know. It could be sometimes. It could be, it varies. Sometimes it's a hit time. Sometimes it's a hit time.
No, but I'm saying that you're right, because if it's getting it from the cache, then it's saying the question is not talking about a case where it's not in the cache. It's talking about it is in the cache and we're getting it from the cache. Then it would just be the hit time.
Right. But this question, all these questions, I should tell you, the Aleph is the correct answer. So he wrote, I don't really like this question. No answer is not correct. I don't know what. Maybe he means no answer is correct.
What should be the answer?
In Hebrew, double negative sometimes mean negative. This is a terribly written question. Terribly written answer. Af tshuva einena nechona.
Oh, wait, af isn't negative.
Well, if he were af tshuva nechona, then that would mean nothing is right. Right?
Af tshuva nechona is like there's no correct answer.
There's no correct answer. None of these answers are correct. So fine. So he's saying none of these are correct. I don't understand. Why isn't hit time correct?
Couldn't we say that no answer is correct because none of them are specific enough? Really, it should be sometimes hit
Well, the
time is
definition. Well, what's the definition of hit time? I mean, you're saying you want a numerical answer. There's no numerical answer. That's true. But
no. I'm saying that it depends.
We're not given enough information, I don't think.
saying you're saying since it depends, we're not given enough information. Since
Because sometimes you'll miss.
mhm. Wait, let me just check something. Isn't this? I can agree with that, but then did we talk about hit time over here? No, we didn't talk about hit. We talked hit time in chapter 11. Okay. Chapter 11. I was trying to just review what is hit time. Isn't hit time here? Yes. Hit time. The time it takes to either read or write a data from the cache. In other words, we talked about average memory access time. Maybe that's what he wanted. Maybe that's the answer he's looking for. And in that case, it would have been, in that case, it would have been this: hit time plus miss rate times miss penalty. In other words, that's probably the answer he wanted. It's not because he wanted a numerical answer. He wanted the definition. It's a definitional answer. This is the memory, and there's the average of memory access time is the memory access time. That's the answer he wanted. Hit time plus miss rate times miss penalty. In other words, let's think about how we can remember that.
But isn't the memory not the cache? It's the RAM or the data like segment. I'm saying, isn't that not the cache? He said, didn't you say that we want to, in our question, we want to get the memory a byte from the cache, not from the memory?
Well, we always get it from the cache. Whether it's a hit or a miss, eventually it's a hit. Right? Sometimes we get it directly, and sometimes we have a miss and then we get it. But in the end, we always get it from the cache. We never only read it from the memory. We always read it from the cache.
Right, but I'm saying
first have to load it into the cache. So when he says we're getting it from the cache, I don't know what he said exactly in the question, but this is the right answer. It's not because of not enough information. Because
it seems like
this is saying this is the hit time, the average access time. When he says access time, he really should have said average access time. But that's what I'm saying he meant. I'm saying he meant that. I am determining that that's what he meant. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think he meant. And maybe in that case, it's a bad question. The question should have been more specific. Should have said average memory access time. But the average memory, see, if it would be a system that didn't have cache, then what would the average memory time be? Then what would the average access time be? If there was no cache. It would be, well, we don't really have a term for it. It would be memory, it would actually be hit time plus, I mean, there is no hit time. So it would be,
we'll just go search through it until it finds it.
It would just be miss penalty. It would be kind of like miss penalty, kind of. But it would just be miss penalty. But anyway, let's understand. That's a kind of weird question. But if it's a system that has both, that means some of the time we have a hit, and a certain percentage of the time, whenever we have a miss, we also have a miss penalty. So let's just understand this logically. It's like saying like this: we're always getting a hit. I'm just saying to remember this formula, so that you can remember it for the exam without having it written down. You always have a hit. You always have a hit. You're going to have a hit eventually. But you also, some of the times you'll have to do some more. How much of the time? Whatever your miss rate is. Your miss rate, you'll have to also do that rate of time. You'll have to do whatever your miss penalty is. It's very logical. The hit time you always have to do. And then whatever amount of times you have the miss penalty, that's you multiply that by the time it takes to do a miss, the extra time. This is the extra penalty you pay for. This is the extra time for a miss. But there's also the original time of the hit time, even in those misses. So it's 100% of the time you have a hit, that time, plus a percent of the time you miss. I think that is the correct answer. Anyway, you're not going to get this exact question on the exam, but Ma Hazman Gisha access time to look at, I would say average access time, but And then he meant, and that's why he did miss penalty plus hit time is wrong. It's got to have miss penalty plus miss rate. Times miss rate.
Zikrona Matmun is the cache or the data?
Matmon is cache. Okay. Shayla Arba. My point is, I don't think he was looking for a number here. And the reason why none of these, that would be a really evil question. This is not, it's really it's hit time. That's the right answer. But since that's not a number and we don't know a number, then after, I don't think he could, that would have been very evil of that. It's not fair. That would be not fair. He didn't give you it. And you know, this is not the right formula. None of these. Shela Mispar Arba. B'ma'bed chad machzori, a single cycle, not a multi-cycle chip. Ira takala, oh, he loves questions like this. There was a mistake. Bekav REG destination. Shemagia me yechidat control. It comes obviously from the control, obviously. Takua becha. It's stuck at 1. Oh, I love these questions. So among these 3 commands, which one will continue to work normally? Lo yipaga bitzua biglala takala. In other words, which one of these 3 commands doesn't care that this is stuck at 1?
Do we get the data path on the?
Yes, you will get the data path on the exam.
Would it be B?
Oh, you
Can we-
know?
Can we
You
see
know right
the-
away?
can we
Well,
see
what
the
is
data?
registered?
Oh, yeah. Do you see all of them are A?
Wait, A, yeah, it's all of them are A, so it's add. Because well, you'd have to look.
Can we see
I
the
can't-
diagram?
Let's see the picture. I can't remember that without looking.
I mean, I'd assume the add is the simplest. It has the least amount of.
No, that's not the reason why. No, you have to remember what the register destination does. What it does is it decides whether the destination is RS or RD. Sorry, not RS, RT or RD. That's what it does. So over here, that's from my memory. This line controls, as far as I recall, whether it's RS or RT that gets written, RT or RD that gets written to.
And when it's zero,
Apparently, when it's 0, it goes to the RT. That makes sense because it's a registered destination. This means RD. Now, when do we want to write to the RD? Dafka and add. In add I, we write to the RT. And in load word, we also write to the RT.
So because add I and load word are not R type, that's pretty much making it so
Yes,
those would get messed up.
exactly. This one means that we're always going to be writing to RD, registered destination RD. That's what the 1 means. True. Do write to RD. But we don't want to, but these are I types. We don't want to write to RD. We want to write to RT, which always is it's in the first 16 bits, the left 16 bits. But
what's the
I
order
remember,
of the
I
registers?
remember that because I've been looking at this for a long time. There's no way you could remember it, so you have to look at it. So let me show you where it is in that. Wait, you had a question?
Yeah, what's the order of the registers again in the command?
In the command?
Like in like a R-type command, there's
It's in a command. It's RS, RT, in the command, it's RD, RS, RT. But what do you mean in the command? I don't know what you mean by the command.
I guess
There's the way it's written in assembly, and then there's the way it's encoded.
No. I guess I was asking in actual code.
No, code is also not a good word.
Sorry,
There's
in binary.
the way it's what?
In binary.
In binary. The encoding, you have to say that word. Encoding. The encoding is RS, RT, RD.
STD.
Yes.
Don't sound so excited about that.
Sorry.
No, what is it? STD actually stands for 2 things, I believe. Homer Ezer, here. Let's see. Look here. You're going to get this. Basically, everything that's here on the exam you're going to get, except for this. That's just the Mars. The green card, I think you can get. The instructions, you're not going to get this either. But I think you're going to get this. And let's see what that is. Oh. Yeah. Oh, no, you're not going to get that. I don't want that. So what is this? Some kind of PowerPoint somebody made to teach this course? Okay. Some kind of old-fashioned PowerPoint.
On there.
Maybe this one. It's not in here?
And I use that a lot. Doesn't have the diagram.
Oh,
That has like all the, like, says like what you need to put in V0 in order to like call an integer and all those kind of stuff.
the green card doesn't have it. What about this one? You look at this one?
I've used that. It explains each instruction very detailed.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not there, but you're also going to get, you are going to get the diagram.
So could we look at it now from your slides?
You can look at it now for my slides, just to save time. And let's go back here. And let's go to, did he say, oh, he didn't say whether this, did he say single cycle or multi-cycle? I don't think it matters.
I thought he said single
It
cycle.
said single in the question.
He said single. Okay, so we need chapter 4.
It seems like they ask a lot of questions from single and multi-cycle.
It's a good idea to ask a lot of questions. If I would write an exam, I would ask a lot of questions like that because that's really the interesting part. Okay, here we go. RS register destination. Ooh, it's a bit hard to see. View, present. Register destination just comes over here and it's 1. So it tells me, ooh, that's not right. See, that's why I wasn't sure about if it's 1 or 0.
No, when it's 1,
When it's
D will always be the right register. And that's exactly what we have in a R-type command.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm thinking backwards. Yeah. This is for an R type, right? For an R type, we want to write to RS, RT, RD. This is RD, 15 to 11, and we choose 1. So that will mean if it's stuck on 1, we'll always be choosing to write here. If it's an I type, well, these are the offset. These bits are not, you're not supposed to use these bits. These bits are the offset. They're not where to write to. Where to write to is up here. We want 0. We want to take the RT and put it over here to the right register. So there you go. Hope that is clear. That's a very good question. Very fair question.
I have a question. How
Yeah.
are, I guess, how do the questions differ in the lab final versus this final? Like what's the
Well,
type of
what do you notice
questions
it's
they're
not
asking?
here?
MIPS.
What?
Until question 6, which you see at the bottom, has a little bit of code.
Code. Yeah, you're right. So there'll be more questions like this. But let's look at question 6 right away and see if it's any different from how it would be in the other one. There might be overlap between the 2 exams. There's no logical reason why there shouldn't be, because in both classes we teach you encoding. There will definitely be questions of encoding. In other words, given this, I might give you this program and say, what's the encoding for this line, or for the second line, for the LW? What's the encoding for this? And you'll have to go through the table, to the charts, and figure out what it's going to be in binary or in hex.
It'll also be multiple choice, or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's not the chart because you just copy it from the chart, kind of, more or less. No.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, and it's even easier because you can immediately exclude some of the answers because the code is LW, so you know what it has to start off as, and then you just look at the first couple digits. You already can see, oh, these 2 are right and these 2 are wrong.
For the lab, the final example is like only 20%, something like that.
30%.
Or 30%? Did it used to be 20%?
No, it was. I don't think so.
And
Some
the
years we didn't have an exam.
homeworks are the rest.
I wanted it to be 50%, but The most we could do is 30%. I want to be 50% because, not because because I want to really know who knows the material. And I think that doing the homework, I never know if people, how much help they got. Okay, Hakod Abba Huratz al Mips. Hachad Masri. Okay, I don't know why he tells me that, but it's run on a single cycle machine. And here we go. Oh, because he's probably gonna see. You know what you could ask you is like, how many cycles? That would be a great question. Oh, I didn't think of that. That's a great question to ask. Give this program and say it's on a multi-cycle, and ask how many cycles will it take to run it. You see what I mean? Then you'd have to say, well, this is an add, so it's 3, and this is this, so it's 5. And this, this is a branch, so it's 4. And this is a store word, so it's 4. And this is a jump, so it's 1. Or no, it's 3. And then how many times there'll be jumps? And then calculate the program and figure out, oh, it's going to run 3 loops, so then these parts of the code are going to be repeated. That would be a great question. I never did a question like that. On a multi-cycle, how many cycles will it be?
Regarding how many cycles a given command takes,
Yeah.
do we have to memorize that, or is that somewhere?
That's a good question. Maybe that's why we never asked this question. You're right. How are you supposed
Load
to
word
know?
is the only one that's 5.
I mean, we
Everything
definitely
else,
in the lab we definitely said that LW is the only one that's 5. So we know that. Most things are.
And LA, no?
No, LA is
is
not a
pseudo
command.
code.
LA is not a command. It's a city in California. There's no command to LA. LA is pseudo command. What you want to say, LW and LB and LH, they're all 5. All the loads. There's no LA. There's LH, half, and LB for load byte. Those are all 5. Yeah, I guess it's kind of an unfair question because how would you know? I mean, unless we gave you ones that you know. You should know that the L's are 5. I've said that a million times. And you should know that the jump is 3. I think you did that in class.
Is there anything else that's 3
the
besides
jump,
jump?
the add.
What?
Adds are 4, right?
Adds are 4, I
Type is
think, and
4.
branches are 3, I think.
For what?
I
For
think branches might be 3.
Well, doesn't a branch need to do the calculation and then do the jump? So it would
I think
be
branches are.
Maybe you're right. Let's see.
I thought adds were 3. I'll find out.
Which?
no, because an add needs a
R
step
types are
for the
always 4.
calculation, and then it needs a step for the writing the register, I think.
Here, we see an R type is over here. There's no branch over here in cycle 4. Cycle 3, we do the branch. We finish the branch here. See? There's no branches here. Also, by the way, I have.
Wait, so branches are only 3 steps?
So jumps and branches are 3. R types in store words stores are 4, and then any loads are 5.
Yes. I mean, there are other commands that we didn't really go through, like jump register. Well, exactly how long is jump register, or add I we never did. You see, add I is not an R type. So it's probably going to be 4. Add I will logically be 4 because it's not an R type. Wait, R type, sorry. What finished in 3? Pretty much just the branches.
How do the branches finish in
The
3?
branches and the jumps. That's it that's going to finish 3. Pretty much everything else is going to be 4, except for the load word. So 4 is the most common. So it must be that an add I presume an add I is also 4.
so what? The only thing that's 5 is a load word.
Any
load.
loads.
Any load.
Any load byte, load word.
Yes.
Have we ever discussed how add I works for the number?
I did with one group. I did go over it with one group. I don't think I did it with you. With a different group, I went over it. But it's not in the official book. I'd have to.
Oh, just the basic.
I
How do you
think I
get
remember
5?
seeing it.
Maybe I did do it with you. I did it with one group. If not with, I definitely did it with one group. But I think I did it with you. Maybe I don't know. I don't remember who I did it with. I have 3 different groups, so I don't remember. But I did it with one group. But I just did it as an example. I might have actually made a mistake. I might have not done it perfectly. I'm not. Without seeing it in a textbook, I can figure out what it should be according to my brain. But I just read a Devar Torah with my son just before we started teaching. It says that why did Moshe Rabbeinu lose the memory of the Benot Slavchad's question? Anyone know why? Why didn't he know the answer? Says Rashi.
To what question?
The Benot Slavchad, they asked, why should we not get some land? Our father is dead, and we're all girls. And that he didn't invent a new halacha there. That halacha was given at Har Sinai. So why didn't Moshe know it? That if there's no sons, then the daughters could inherit for the chalukah. So Rashi says, because he said, Kol ha'davar ha'kasheh yavo elai. All the really hard stuff, I'll handle it. And that was he put a crown on his head. He made himself into too important. It's interesting. You think of Moshe Rabbeinu as being humble. But here he was not being humble. He said, everything kasher, bring to me. But what Yitro told him to do. And Yitro said everything that is, there's a difference in language. Yitro said kasher, and he said gadol. Gadol. Yitro said gadol, and he said kasher. I think that's what it is. But anyway, the point Rashi says is that was a little bit too much confidence in his own abilities. Therefore, he lost his ability, and he forgot the halacha. So I'm not confident in my abilities. I try to learn from that story and say that maybe I made a mistake. I don't know. I think I did it right. Anyway, interesting Rashi. Not many people know that Rashi, or at least I didn't know it. Anyway, so let's look at this question. We have our program here. It's add, and it takes this error value. By the way, that's the largest possible value you could ever do an add on, right? It's
An add I.
Because it's 16 bits. That's all ones. Of course, actually, what value is that in reality? What value is that?
It's -1.
Thank you. It's -1. If I would change this to add IU, which there is a command like that, or add UI, I think it's add IU. Then what would this value be?
It's unsigned. Then it's 16 bits, 2 to the 16.
Yeah, 2 to the 16 minus 1. In other words, it would become a very large number, a positive number, if I just change that. By the way, that's a very important concept which most of the students do not grasp, which is that when I write a U here, it's just telling me how to regard this number here. It doesn't change the number. Those are just but ones and zeros. This is just telling the computer what am I trying to do? Am I trying to add -1? It matters, because if this is negative, if this is 1 and I add -1 to it, I'm going to get 0. But if this is 1 and I'm adding 2 to the 16 minus 1, I'm going to get 2 to the 16. So it matters what I'm doing here. Am I adding an unsigned number or a signed number to this 0 or to this 1? Well, actually, in this case, I'm adding it to 0. So I'm actually just putting this number, this -1, into T1. Okay, then what? Then I'm going to location.
Otherwise, there would be overflow, right?
I don't know what you mean by otherwise.
If you're adding anything other than it to anything other than the 0 register.
No, totally not true. Totally not true. If I would add 2 to the 16th and add here to, let's say, a value, let's say 1, then I would have this is the maximum value I can put in half a register. Remember, add I has 16 bits for the value and 16 bits for the command. But a register like T1 has 32 bits. So this doesn't fill them up at all. This is just the bottom half.
If you got a number there that was bigger than that number in hex, the FFFF, if you got a number that was bigger than that, would it just not compile?
Well, that's a funny question, because if you did that, the compiler would figure out what you meant, and it would convert it into other code that would compile. In other words, the compiler would figure out what you meant. If you were given a question on the exam where I had 4 Fs, 5 Fs instead of 4 Fs, the same thing, then it would be an unfair question. Unless the question were, what's the encoding for this line? If I would give you this line and say, what's the encoding for this line, and I had an extra F here, then the correct answer would be that line is not possible to be encoded. That's impossible line.
Why is that 2 to the
Is there
16th?
Some sort of
2 to the 17th minus 1. It's not to the 16th.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Is
Oh,
there
yeah?
some sort of like pseudocode that would
2 to the
accept
17th
that?
minus 1? Are you sure about that?
Because it's 16 ones.
Yes, that's 2 to the 16th minus 1. Not 17th.
If you can use the Windows calculator. The Windows calculator has a binary.
And you just did
converter
it?
thingy.
Does it?
No, but I could.
Here, I'll do it. I'll do it so everybody can see. I hope you're wrong. I think you're wrong. How do I do it? But you can't see what I'm doing. I got to do a new share.
Two to the 16 would be 16 bits, but the most significant bit on the far left would be a 1, the rest is zeros. 2 to the 17 minus 1, which is what that
Wait.
F's
Wait,
were.
wait. Stop talking.
Bunch of ones.
How do I do this? I just type a lot of ones.
No, click my scientific. If you go to the scientific button, top
The drop
left.
down menu. Top
What
left.
drop? Oh, scientific there. Doesn't click.
The 3 bars.
Oh, and
Programmer.
hex. And now what? And type. And now I
FF.
can type F, 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 F. And we see it's 65,000. Okay, remember that. 65,000. Now let's do clear. Clear. Here, let's do back to not programmer. Scientific. Here, scientific. And let's do 2 to the power 16 equals 65,000. See, I'm right. Minus 1. That was the number we had.
Oh, it's 2 to the 16th minus 1.
It's 2 to the 16th. I just did it. 2 to the 16th is the same as writing F, 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 F. So, yeah. It's not 2 to the 17th. Because what's confusing you is the first digit is not 2. The first digit is 2 to the 0. It's not 2 to the first. That's what confuses you. The first digit is 1, right? It's 2 to the 0th.
There should still be a minus 1 though.
Yeah. There's still going to be a minus 1 because FF. Oh, because we just did it. Yeah. I just did 2 to the 16th, and then I had to do minus 1 to get the number that we'd seen before.
Okay, everything's clarified. I get it.
Good. It is a confusing point. I even get confused by it sometimes, but then I have to, it's like you can get confused by it and then you have to remember it again. Where am I? Yeah, here. Share screen. But what's the point of confusion is that first digit. That's what I believe. You can see the test exam now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So let's go back to this question. So this is this is a very strange thing because we're adding this to 0 and then we're putting it in here. So what value actually becomes T1 is actually -1. Kind of a weird thing to do because basically all we did was put -1 in there in a very weird way because we could have done it with writing negative. Well, this is -1. That's how you write -1. So, okay, it's not a weird way. That's the standard way to put it in. I take it back. It's just we usually write it in like human way. We write -1 there, but -1 will get converted to this. So it's the same.
They wrote it in hex instead of dec.
Right. If I wrote it in decimal, I'd write -1 here, and then the encoding would be FFFF because that's how you write -1 in 2's complement. And then I did load word. Now this makes no sense. True. This says go to offset 0, well, go to address 0. I don't think there is anything in address 0.
0 can have an address.
I don't think, no,
It's-
0 isn't.
Yeah, I think
There
with
isn't.
the question, it's relevant. The question is extremely odd.
Okay, so there
Important
is
to
a
look at that.
location, there is a memory location 0, and I can certainly go 4 away from it, but I think that's restricted, so I don't think I can get there. But anyway, label, if something, if 2 is equal to 1, well, if it's, that means our 1 is -1. If the thing we found there is -1, then go to label and go there. But if not, if it's not -1, then store it in the preceding location. No, there's not in 4, but in 0. Okay, I don't know what he's doing. Natun ki lifnei tchilat haratzat tochnit kol registrim upasim. Assume everything is 0, all the registers are 0 at the beginning. Okay, that doesn't. That's what I did assume. Kmo kein natun ki kol ha-ktovot milah. Assume that all the addresses are actual words. V'zikaron hanatunim mechilot et ha'erech FFF. Natun ki kol הכתובות המילים בזיכרון הנתונים מכילות את הערך. So assume that every address in the whole computer has got FF in it, which means everything is -1. And what am I doing here? I'm actually checking, is what I got equal to -1? Which it will be. Which it will be. Okay, then he says, Prat leketovet mila efes shemichilat mila efes, except for 0, which has in it 0. But I'm not taking 0 here, by the way. I'm taking 4. I'm taking address 4.
You're allowed to do that offset? You're allowed to make that kind of offset?
For sure. I mean, the only thing that bothers me is that on the this is just theoretically. On the simulator, he's not going to let you do that. In reality, he might let you do that. Oh, by the way, Weinman sent out an email to the students about no operation. Did you see that?
No, what's that?
Weinman, the Rakaz sent out an email to all the students. That's what he told me. But maybe you didn't get, I don't know why you didn't get it then. But in Hebrew, where he said something about the no operation being wrong in the Choveret.
Yeah, he said something in the Choveret was wrong.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't bother looking at it.
Yeah, well, he was wrong. I wrote him back and I said, you're wrong.
No.
I mean, he says, yeah, and then he wrote me back and said, yeah, you're right, but the students would get confused, so I had to write that. I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, there is a command no operation, and essentially no operation, just to give you the upshot of that email, what you should know is that there is an operation called no operation, NOP, which does nothing. And essentially what it is, when it gets encoded to a shift left logical. But how much do we shift left? By 0. If you take any number and you shift it 0 amount, then you did nothing, right? You didn't shift it at all. So there is an operation called no operation, and its encoding is actually the same as shift left logical. In other words, it's a little bit weird because the opcode is the same as SLL. But that's right, because SLL is no operation as long as the amount you're shifting is 0 spaces. If you didn't shift it at all, then you didn't do anything. So that's all. He said that. He says, how can it be that 2 operations have the same opcode? It can't be. And I said, no, because no operation is not really a, I mean, whatever, because it is. The encoding for no operation is shift left logical. Makes sense. Anyway, so after 10, so we're going to load up the first one, which is actually going to be the 4th one, which is actually, yes, going to be -1. And then we are going to check if it is, and if it is, we're going to do nothing. But do we ever change? Then we're going to jump to, oh, look at this, jump label. Jump label.
That's like endless. Yeah,
this is an endless loop. So wait a second, let's just look at this again. Let me go slowly.
I guess the assumption is that when
this
you
is
do
-1, and this
the program
is
doesn't run
-1.
any other line.
What? Looks to me
Maybe
like it's going to just go to this label and be there forever. What's the assumption?
That's what I was saying. I assume that it just wants to say, it might add another layer of complexity theoretically for people who say after 10, what happened after a jump to label? But yeah, I think it just stays there so that no
So he
other
says
lines of
after
code are written.
this is single cycle. After 10 machzorei sha'al, if it's single cycle, then that tells us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he's here for 5 cycles, 6 cycles. Okay. B'zikaron netunim. After 5 cycles, b'zikaron netunim, b'ketovet milah, word efes, matsui ha'erech. He says after 10 cycles, I think he's saying it actually is in place 0, the value
2 to the 16 minus 1.
Yeah, well, that doesn't make sense.
5,300.
Mimi Bain.
535.
So wait a second. So that's impossible if the program ran properly, right? That would mean that the BEQ didn't work the first time, or right? It didn't work, or actually there's no increment. So we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Well, actually, it meant that the BEQ didn't work because we actually copied that, whatever this 1 was, which is that value, into place 0. It meant that the BEQ failed if that happened, right? Agreed? Am I wrong? Wait.
Wait, maybe I'm not understanding something, but on the
Yeah.
like the
The
load
BEQ,
word,
if the B, wait, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
on the load word, what are we're loading address
-1.
4.
No. This is saying go to memory location 0, then count 4 spaces forward, and whatever is there, put it into T2. Well, we know
that's address.
what?
Doesn't the data segment start much later than 0? Like, how can we just say go to address 4? That doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I said that. I said that was what I first started saying. Address 4 should be on a theoretical level, it should allow it. The compiler won't allow you.
But it says that we're on a MIPS, a single cycle MIPS.
Yeah, but we're on what you're used to is the simulator. Again, a real MIPS can be with no operating system. The first sections are reserved for the operating system, but the chip itself doesn't have an operating system. So theoretically, as long as I don't care about this, if I don't want to have an operating system, I can use all the memory.
Okay, so let's say that we can go to address 4, but we don't know what's in address 4 right now.
Sure we do. He told us
Let's
what
just assume that
told
every
us-
other place in memory except for 0 is full of -1s. That's part of the
he wrote
question.
that in the thing.
Fine, yeah, okay.
So we got -1, and I'm saying, well, what value is in T1? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm saying that the value in T1 is 0 plus -1. I mean,
Right. So when you see the answer,
would
it'll
say-
make perfect sense.
then it
The
should be
answer makes sense.
then
with
it
the
should be
question.
-1, and -1 does not. -1 does equal -1, so therefore it will jump. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is not -1. This is 65,000. But I don't think so.
But
I think
it
that's
would
-1.
sign
You just
extend
forgot
it.
to sign extend, and the Aleph makes sense.
So let's see. So, okay, so we just said like this. So I'm in the middle of the question. After 10 cycles, we found that this value, 65,000 minus 1, whatever it is, 65,000 is in place 0. How did it get there? Mi bein a takalot. There was a takalot. There was a mistake. Habaot, which of the following mistakes could have caused this what could have caused this mistake? So he says, hey, Ara, ALU. When we talk about ALU, the kavanah, the intention is to the ALU, the main ALU, and not the mechabrim shemofim b'toshim mabed, not in other ALUs that may or may not be in the diagram. He means the main ALU. Okay. So Rechiv sign extend b'ma'abed achad machzori uchlaf b'rechiv unsigned extend. Yeah, well, that would cause it for sure, because then when I did this, and I added it to this. Before I can add them, this is an important point to remember. I don't add them as they appear here. I first shove this value into a register and shove this value into a register, essentially. I don't run a register, but I shove it into the 32 lines of the ALU. But this is only 16 bits. So I have to assign extended before I can put it into the ALU. Otherwise, I'll get the wrong value. So if my sign extender is not working properly and it's doing unsigned extended, then it's gonna put zeros there and not put ones there. And then I will get a value of 65,000, and 65,000 does not equal -1, and I will not jump to the label, and that would account for it. What would not account for it? Right, he explains what that does. Rechiv ha'ALU mivatzeh tamid chibur. No, because that's exactly what I want to do. The only time I use the ALU, well, I use the ALU here and here, but those are always with chibur. Oh,
What is chibur in this context?
chibur is addition.
Ah.
So the ALU only does addition. The ALU only does subtraction. Ah. Well, wait a second. If this did only subtraction, would that cause it? Because when I do this line,
It would be an error, but it wouldn't give it that number.
would it? Why not? Because I'm putting 0 minus -1. 0 minus -1 will be +1.
1, right? Not.
So I'll get
not
1
2
in
to the
T1.
16.
Then I'll go over here and I'll get T2, which will of course be -1. 1 and -1 are not the same. So what am I going to put in? Oh, I'll put in T1, which is 1 in there. Good. I'll put 1 in that location, not this value. Tov. So anyway, we got the answer. Which we want to do one more. What should we do? You want to do this one? Or you want to do, well, I don't think you're going to have a question like this on the exam. Wait, this is RAM. That we'll have. This, yeah, which one do you want to do? You want to do 11, 14?
We do a question on RAM.
Yeah, the RAM one looks good.
This one?
I mean, it looks bad, but it looks good for that reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Given a system of memory like this, and we have A0 to A13 over here, and these are the address for the RAM units. And the Ds, what Ds? Oh, yeah, the Ds obviously are the nitunim of the RAM units, the data. And E is the control, obviously. He's giving you a lot of information. I wouldn't do that. I would just say, understand this picture. And when E is 0, then the data that goes out is in tri-state. Right. In other words, nothing comes out of here. Tri-state is just another word for off, if you think about it. And when E is 1, then they're active. The most significant bit is the highest bit. Okay, that's obvious. Now, first of all, I would ask, what's the size of this memory? Well, it's
Meaning, how many bits can it store?
how many bytes can it store?
Right.
Assuming that the data that comes out is, oh, well, that's actually an interesting question. This is Shmona Kavim and this is Shmona. There's no tri-state here. This, how big is this?
7 bits.
No, this is 8 bits. and this is 8 bits. This should be 16 bits because it would be illegal to connect these two directly without a tri-state there. And there's no tri-state there written. So therefore, these 8 are parallel to these 8. So there's a total of 16 bits here. It says 8 lines. It's 8, 0 to 7, 0 to 7.
Aren't the slashes through the lines a tri-state?
No, the slash through the line does not mean tri-state, for sure not. The slash through the line means that it's not a single line, but it's multiple cubs, it's multiple lines. And then he writes the number, how many it is, 8. There's 8 here and 8 here. There's 16 here.
Wouldn't a better way to write that be to like the line going up? This is Shwanakavim, just have it turn right there and go into that parenthesis. Like I don't know. It seems ambiguous.
No, what he should do is he should write an 8
two
here.
lines of 8 just
No,
running
what he
into
should,
each other.
the proper way of writing it would be to write an 8 here, and then write a line here and write 16.
That would be unambiguous.
That would be unambiguous. That would be the way to do it. That is actually the standard way to write it. Fine. So it's 16 bits. We've got 2 units of 16 bits, and how big is this memory? Well, it's 2 to the 14th plus another 1 bit, 2 to the 15th. It's really 2 to the 16th. How much is 2 to the 16th? 60. We just saw it, 64,000. So this is 64,000.
How did you get
bytes.
the 2 to the 6? Like I would think 2 to the 14th. What added the extra 2?
Well, the 2 to the 14th is here, but we have this whole unit. We have 4 units here essentially.
Each 2 to the 14th goes to 4 places.
Right. So and we choose which one of those 4 places, presumably by this. Although I don't see the lines drawn out. You should have drawn them out. Presumably these enables are coming from here. Yitziot mefaneach nivcheret hainu b'matzav echad v'eshar yitziot. Right. Only one of these lines will be lit, and that will be the enable. But when we enable,
Why do we need 8 of them if there's only 4? If there's only 4 RAMs, shouldn't we need 4?
8 what? Oh, we should only need
8. We have 8.
We actually
outputs
only
from
need
this.
2. We actually only need 2. Because
do we
really
need
what we're doing, if you notice the lines are connected, this enable and this enable are connected, and this enable and this enable. We're enabling 2 at a time. So this is 64, but we're enabling 2 at a time. So even though this is, so what's the word length here is not 8, but it's 16. Like I said, there's 2 bytes.
Why
It doesn't affect, because these lines are combining. It's 8 and 8, 8 and 8. I enable. Actually, this is a mistake. Oh, I see. No, it's not. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm taking it back. These lines are not combining. Because look, this enable, if this enable is on, then this enable is off. So therefore, I can connect these lines. I take it back. This is 8.
How did you see that if that one is on, then that one is off? Like where is
Because
that
this
shown?
enable is connected to this enable. It means this one and this one are a pair. And this one are a pair. Look, see the enable of this one is here and it continues to here. These 2 are a pair. That means these 2 are enabled at the same time. But it's impossible that this one and this one will be enabled at the same time. I mean, it comes out the same thing. But
Then how do we choose? How do we choose between like?
so but essentially we only have a choice of 2. We only choose either turn on this one and this one, or turn on this one and this one. And therefore, even though we have 3 bits here, it's kind of extra. Really, we only need 1 bit.
But
Either
once we have
either 1 or 0. Either 1 or 0. This one should be 0. One pair should be called 0 and one pair should be called 1. And then we'll light it up. And that means that we have 1 bit here plus the 2 to the 14th. This is 2 to the 14th. 2 to the 15th is how many options we have. The address should really be 2 to the 15th. These 2 bits are extra. And the size is 2 to the 14th, but it's, sorry, 2 to the 15th. This is 14 to the 15th, but the size is 2 bytes because I get a byte over here and a byte over here. So the data that comes out every time I choose something is going to be 8 and 8, which is 16, which means that if I'm talking in how many bytes I've got here, I got to add another 1. So I added 14, became 15, now I can 16. That's how I got 2 to the 16. The size of the memory is 64K. That's the first thing I'm telling you. It's for sure it's 64K. And these extra bits, I don't know why they're there. And if you want to think about it, you can even think about it simpler. This is 2 to the 14th. This is 2 to the 14th, 2 to the 14th, 2 to the 14th. I got 2 to the 14th, where each one is a word length of a byte. So that means I've got 2 to the 14th times 4, which is the same as 2 to the 16th. So I got 2 to the 16th bytes. So there you go. That's how much I've got as far as memory. As far as addressable spaces, I don't have that many. I don't have 2 to the, I don't have 4, I don't have 15. I only have 15 addressable spaces. You know, so I only have 15 covs, 2 to the 15th. My memory space is 2 to, in other words, the address space is 2 to the 15th. Because I can't address every byte. In this setup, I can only address a word of 2 byte lengths. Now we didn't look at the question at all. Hera, note. We got to go quick here. Ketovet, the external address, ketovet chitzonit, הכוונה לכתובת שמופיע ברגסטר הכתובת. Okay, the external address is whatever in the, that's this is the ketovet, this is the register. That's called the external address. Oh, that's why he didn't draw these lines here, by the way. He didn't draw these lines here. Because I said the minimum would be that 0 would be connected here and 1 would be connected there, but you could do it other ways. You could use this, you know, I mean, you could choose that 0 is connected here and 7 is connected there. I don't have to use all, you know, he could do all kinds of crazy things here. And that's what makes the question interesting, maybe. Nidrash תחום הכתובות החיצונית שמתייחסת לזיכרונות RAM ו1 ו2 יהיה בין הכתובת 8,000 לכתובת. Okay, so he wants it to go from A to B. What does that mean? That means כמו כן נדרש שתחום הכתובות חיצונית for RAM 2 and 4 will be between 18 and 1B. אילו תוספות יש להוסיף למערכת הזיכרון כדי שהדרישות ביחס לתחומי הכתובת של הזיכרון יתקיימו. Okay, what additions do we have to make to have this work? What is he saying? He wants the address for one and 3 to be between 8 and B. In other words, 14, I mean, you have to write this out on paper. I need a text box. Here, annotate. Oh, I got to write like this. 1, 1, 1, 1. That's 4. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 4. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's 4 times 3 is 12. 13, 14. Now that is equivalent to you know, F, and then what's this? This is going to be oh, wait a second. In other words, you see what I'm writing here? Oh, I'll do it again. This is bit 0. Actually, I drew this kind of backwards. Normally, this is bit 0, right? You guys left? Or you're here?
We're here.
This is bit 0, right?
We have
That's bit 0, and that's bit 14, bit 13. That's what I have here. Now, what's that address space? Well, that address space is an F, and it's an F. Come on, F, F, F. That's really, the spacing is different. This 4, this 4, and this 4. And then I've got a 2 over here as the least significant bits, which is, let's write like this. It's going to be 3, right? Plus the next digit will be 3 plus whatever the next 2 bits are. Well, we want it to be, according to the question, 8, right? Oh, I gotta go out of this. Annotate, mouse. We want it to be from 8, in other words, 800 to BFF. We want it to start at 8. We just got to add 5 to this. Ooh. Ah, okay, I understand. Because right, and I understand. So like this. Annotate. Let's do this again. We're going to write actually 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Why is it left to right? It's terrible. Can I switch? All right, I'll change it. 8. 8 is 1, 0, 0. There. That's the address. That's the lowest address. That's 8. That's 8, right? This is 8, 0, 0, 0. That's exactly what he wrote. Until B. Until B, which is B, which is B is how much? A is 10, B is 11. So that's 8 and 3. So 11. Okay, this is very nice. What he's saying is like this. These 3 are remaining. If it's the lowest possible address, then the first 14 bits, the rightmost 14 bits, go from 0. Oh, but FFF, not 0, 0, 0. FFF is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so what he's saying is, when I want to address this, when I want to address this RAM 1 and RAM 3, I'm going to give it this range will be from zeros, all zeros, until here, till all ones. That's the first 14 bits. And then, how will I tell it I'm choosing these 2 and not the other 2? I'll put a 1, 0 over here, which means this will be a 0 and this will be a 1. Which means if this is a 0 and this is a 1 and if this is a 0, so that's 2. correct? Not 1, but 2. So that means I'm selecting this line. So that means line 2, that's why he didn't connect the lines, because he wants you to connect it. Line 2 has to be connected to RAM 1 and 3 enable, which is here. So this little dot here is going to connect to the 2. That circle should connect to the 2. Everyone sees that? Why I said that? Because that's how I'm selecting RAM 1 and 2. He's telling me that I'm not doing it on 0 and 0 here. I'm doing it on 2, 1, 0, 1, 0. That's what's going to be in these 3 bits. It's going to be 0, 1, 0.
What about
1, 0.
A16?
What?
What about A16?
Well, if I want this number, then I'm going to have to put a 0 over here. Otherwise, it'll change it. So 16 will be 0. It'll be 1, 0, 1. Let me say 0, 1, 0. 0, 1, 0, which is 2. So it's going to be 2. So what's his first question? What either Tosafot yesh leosif l'mareket hazikaron kadei shehadrishot b'yachas tzufim. So the first thing we have to do is yesh lechaber et yitziat shtayim shel hamefaneach v'kav e shel zikaron. Well, that's for sure true. That's for sure true. Notice that same possibility is over here by B. This is a bad question because there's only 2 that have that answer, and the other ones have 0 and then af tshuva. So you've got 2 that have the commonality. Of course, you still have to choose between the 2. So what's the next part? Yesh lechaber kav sheish le 2 and 4. Well, how do we know that? It's simple. Now we've got the basic idea. We just have to go and look at what he said in the question. And he said in the question, we said the first one is 8 to B, and then the other one is 18 to 1B. So So 18 to 1b. So it's essentially saying that, let's think about this. 18 is just adding another 1 over there. And 1b, it's the same. So that means instead of it being 1, 0, it'll be 1, 1, 0. So that means, what's 1, 1? If we go back to the picture, right? That's a 1 over here. This 1 means it's just a 1. So we're going to add a 1 here and a 1 here. It'll be the same. So that means that we're going to have 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. 1, 1, 0 is the same as 4 and 2 is 6. Line 6 has to be connected. And lo and behold, that's what he wrote here, 6. So basically what he's saying is that in this memory system, there are going to be certain illegal addresses. Because like I told you, he only needs 1 bit over here and he's got 3. So it's either going to be, the only legal addresses are 0, 1, 0 and 0, 1, 1. What about 1, 1, 1? Illegal. What about 0, 0, 0? Illegal. Okay, you guys got it? I assume you got it. We'll stop here. And you guys can go to your next class. You're a little late.
All right, thank you.
Sure.